Michael Greiner, will give you an overview about the key findings of the report. Michael, let me say, he is the brain behind this report. So he will also talk about the methods, how these statistics are produced. The reason is that we are really deeply convinced that a deep understanding of these figures will help you to identify potentials and risks as well of the market and to sharpen your strategic decisions. As you know, we do this report in a very close and a very trustful partnership with HIMA and EDRA, the two international associations for both sides, the manufacturer side and the retailer side. And that's why we invited two more speakers to share their point of view on this. This is Reinhard Wollf, president of HIMA, and Oliver Ginestier, the communications director of EDRA. After Michael's presentation, you will have the opportunity to ask your questions. So please use the question and answers button on the top of your Teams window and write down your questions there. And before we start, just one more remark. We do record this webinar, and from Friday on, it will be available at diawainternational.com/webinar-report. We are going to publish the link once more, so at DIY International, so be sure that you will find it. So let's start, and I'd like to pass over the micro and the camera to Reinhard Wollf.
Hello. Yes, good afternoon. I want to say some words about the experience, my personal experience, the experience from company. I'm working for the family company Wolfcraft. And I have to say, first of all, I'm a really strong home improvement report believer. When you look at it and you work with it on a strategic way, you look at the European market and you find out that this is with 140 billion, the second largest market in the world. And it's a common market. So you can work in European community like you work in the USA. If you have a further look to it, you see that the top 3 customers in Europe only have 30% of the sales. I mean, every nation dreams of having that kind of structure. Even the largest 30 customers only do 70%. And Germany, as the strongest market in Europe, does only 20% of the total market. So if you're looking for growth and you're looking into getting outside your home country, this information of the report will help you a lot. We studied this report since over 30 years now, this report and of course the ancestors of it. And over these years, we developed our sales to 1/3 of the sales in Germany and 2/3 of the sales outside Germany in the EU. And the report gives you a lot of information about the structure, where the large companies are. It gives you a lot of information, or you can take that information to build up your structure following markets where the large retailers have their headquarters and maybe smaller markets where that's not the case and you need a different structure. So for a strategic approach to grow your company outside your home market, I think the home improvement report is an absolute must. I want to say thank you to all the people involved in creating again this year this report, this tremendous amount of information and details in it. Back to you, Rainer.
Thanks, Reinhard, for your interesting words and point of view. And just continue. Let us continue with Oliver, please.
Super. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our global audience. I'd just like to pass on the thanks to all our GHIN members around the world for all the efforts they do in contributing to this report. and their invaluable input and willingness to share their data are always instrumental in making this publication possible. This publication, the Home Improvement Report Retail Worldwide, has really now become the definitive global resource for the home improvement industry, offering comprehensive market data and detailed statistics and providing the critical insights needed to drive informed and successful business decisions and to benchmark with other stakeholders around the world. This is also the second edition of the Home Improvement Report Retailers Worldwide that we've produced alongside Dana Verlag, and it's clear now that the report is improving in accuracy and reliability in each edition. It's now my pleasure to pass over to Michael, the expert and responsible editor behind the Home Improvement Report Retail Worldwide, and he's going to provide more insights and information about the report, and he's going to start the webinar.
Yeah, thank you very much, Oliver, and thank you very much also Reinhard and Rainer. I'm really delighted to be able today to speak to you and give you a short summary about one of the main developments we had in the last year worldwide, and also interesting for you what you can expect from the report, and secondly also the retailer database, which we're also publishing and which is also available via EDRA and HIMA, and which is the basis for the report and all the figures we are putting together. And I hope that at the end you can decide for yourself whether you want to buy the report or buy the retailer folder, or if you already did so, that you better understand how you can use it and what you can expect even maybe as additional information to it. So I will start my presentation. And just so you know, this is what we're speaking about. This is the, on the left side, you see the report. This is the statistical analysis we put together now for the second year together with EDRA and HIMA. But in the past, more than 25 years, we have already been collecting data worldwide about the home improvement industry. It's the, you see it on the right side, the home improvement retailers folder, I call it. It's 2 folders, together more than 800 pages. And this is the database and the basis for the statistical analysis later in the report. But just for you, that you can understand why we are speaking about 2 different publications and how they are connected to each other. So where's the mouse here? So yeah, first I will be speaking about the market developments of last year, which will be hopefully interesting for everybody. Since the last year was quite turbulent, as you already, I'm sure, know. Then second, I will answer for you on a surface the question what you can expect from the home improvement report. Then one important question about how the report is separating the market figures worldwide into 3 different categories. And then third, it's the point of getting a view into the home improvement retailers database so that you also can understand what you will be getting. And then the last point, just as information how you can purchase both publications. And then afterwards, for sure, there's time for the question and answers in detail. So if you want to know anything, just write it down, please, in the question and answers section, and we will afterwards then answer every question. So here you see the first chart. You see the development of the home improvement market worldwide for the last 5 years. As you can see, in 2023, the market suffered a relatively sharp decline. The decline has been 3.9% in nominal terms. So in real terms, you would have to add even more. And you can unfortunately say that 2023 has been a really bad year for the worldwide home improvement industry. But besides, one has to stress out that if you look into the figures from the point of view, what has the development been from 2019 till 2023, we saw an increase of 35.4% in sales. And for sure, this is still the nominal figures. So you would have to subtract the inflation that were raging during that time and lowering the real development. But still, one can assume that at the end of 2023 compared to 2019, we are still in a real positive development, which is important because, as you know, there has been a big giant boom during the COVID time for the home improvement industry and sales and so on. And this boom, unfortunately, is going down a little bit, but it hasn't disappeared totally. And we'll see what the next year will bring. Here you see the market developments split it up into the 5 different world regions the report is using. This is, I think, really interesting because you see here on the blue space, you see the home improvement market in how it has developed in nominal terms in 2023. For example, in North America, it was minus 8.4%. And then on the yellow bar, you see the comparable development of the GDP, so also not price adjusted or adjusted for inflation. And you can see that in nearly all regions, the development in the home improvement market was way worse than it has been for the comparable GDP. Unless if you look at the Asia Pacific region. In Asia Pacific, it was different, where we saw a decline for the countries the report is covering in their nominal GDP, but at the same time, we saw a positive development in the home improvement sales. And there's a second thing I want to stress out, just so you understand not only what I'm showing you here on the chart, but also what's important for the report and the retailer. Since we published it in the last 20 years, seen out of a euro perspective, the report is using euro as the currency. So, for example, in 2022, the last publication of the report, we saw a very strong development of the US dollar to the euro, where the US dollar increased by 12% in its value, which for sure altered the figures compared to euro. And this year now, or last year in 2023, the US dollar again decreased by 2.6%. So if now for example, for North America, where the US is the biggest market as part of it, besides of Canada, the figure cleared for the inflation would have been a little bit better, yeah, or not for the inflation, but for the currency exchange rates. But this is important to keep in mind because it's also comes into play if you look, for example, at Latin America, also for Asia, for every other country, because the report is always using the national currency and then transforming it back into euro to make it more comparable. Okay, here you can see also taken out of the report the development for the 10 biggest home improvement markets worldwide. For sure, it's at the top still the USA, where we saw a nominal decrease by 8.2%. And also the other major markets like Canada, Japan, Germany, they all were in the red. The biggest loss was in Russia last year by 16%, but you also saw an increase in China and in Spain, for example. So it's not only hasn't only been a year of decline, it has also been a year of growth. last year. Here now see, because I already mentioned that the Asia Pacific region was kind of special in 2023. That's why I wanted to go more into detail for this region. You see here the inflation-adjusted home improvement market development in 2023. And you can see that it was not only China that showed a real development. It was also like in Thailand, in the Philippines, or in Indonesia, in a big way in Indonesia, with especially, for example, Mr. DIY, I'm sorry, Mr. DIY, the retail chain there. And I think that's important to know, because for sure, many of our readers and also the report itself has a quite Eurocentristic view on the world market. But one has to keep in mind that there are also other markets outside of Europe, or other markets outside of Europe that are booming compared to the relatively developed regions in Europe or in North America. So now coming to what you can expect, just to give you a short summary, a short overview, what the report is offering. The report puts together data on 621 retailers worldwide, which is, as far as we know, the best database and the worldwide available. In the edition of 2023, the report has 306 pages, and I just showed you a few pages out, or some parts of the pages from the global analysis. So it has 26 pages for global analysis to get an overview about the world market in the different regions and the top markets and so on. And then the main part of the report is the summary for every single country. And so we have 61 countries in detail in the report. And I will just afterwards show you one example of what's in that. And last but not least, we also have all the top 20 retailers worldwide, which we analyze in detail. I will also show you this afterwards, and really new, and I hope quite interesting for the reader, especially if you think about statistics or data that you can use internally. We, for the first time now, publish all the information in an Excel file that can be filtered and also imported into your systems. So here you can see one example for the 61 countries. In this case, it's Germany, since we are from Germany, from the publishing house side, and also it's the market we know best. But this is a view that you will get for all the 61 countries if you want to buy the report. On the first page, you always get a summary about what the market looks like. You see on the first chart, you see how much the DIY market is in billion euros, and then how big the home improvement market is in billion euro, and what's the calculated market in the calculated home improvement market in euro. And I will afterwards explain the separation, but just so you know, you always get this information for every country. And then next you see the market developments in the last also 5 years in Germany, for example, with the market size evolution, also compared to the development of the GDP and so on. Normal available background information like what's the inflation and the GDP development. And then on the second chart, on the second page, you see always the 5 biggest players in the country. compared to each other, and what's their market share, and how they develop their sales, how big their markets are on average, and how big is their turnover per square meter. And you also always have, I hope you can see it here, it's on the second page, quite below on the right side, you see the source. So this is quite interesting for you as a market researcher. We publish for all the information we have the source we are using. So whether it's company information, whether it's from a press, whether it's from national statistic offices, or whether it's own estimation, which will then have the shortcut of OE. And on the third page of every country page, you see all the retailers that are in the database. And for example, for Germany, you can see it's quite well, since it starts at the top with Bauhaus by 3.6 billion in 2023, and it goes down to the smallest player of Bauprofi, which had a turnover of 1.1 billion. So we are covering, for example, for Germany, the market really well, and I can say that also for Europe, you can say that we have a very high covering of the market, and we are still working on improving that coverage for all the markets worldwide, especially in the developing countries, for example, like in next year in India, or also in China, South America, and so on. But if you want first to get an overview about the market, this is what you get out of the report, and I think it's quite valuable. And next, I have brought to you an example of one of the pages for the top retailers in detail. Here you see it, for example, for Hornbach. You see in which countries Hornbach is conducting business, what the turnover development has been, the market share, and so on. Also some background information, and also interesting for the analysis, you see again a list of the turnover and the turnover per square meter and so on for every country Hornbach is conducting business in. And for example, this is the same for Ace Hardware, or for sure for the biggest player, Home Depot, and for many, many others. It's that the top 20 are included. Okay, next, I will show you the new thing that we now publish. It's the Excel file, and to give you an impression that it's searchable and can be filtered and you can use it. I hope you see it now. This is now inside of the Excel file, and it has been altered. So for sure, for example, I go here. Australia is not in North America, so the figures here are kind of mixed. But I, for example, kept it the way it should be in Germany, and now you can see only the retail, only the distribution lines in Germany, and you can now say, okay, let's show them to me. What are the biggest ones? Who has the highest sales area in total? Who has the highest average sales area, and so on? Who has the highest turnover? And again, you have at the end always again the source, that you have kind of a feeling for how reliable the figures are. Okay, next thing, just if you're already a reader of the report, you maybe have mentioned it. Otherwise, I will also explain it to you, because it's important to understand the figures that we put into the report and how we work it through. You know that if you look at the market, we have kind of different assortments worldwide, which can differ really heavily. For example, you have some distribution lines that are part of the home improvement industry in South America that are selling motorcycles in their markets. Or if you look to Japan, you have some distribution lines that are selling books. Or also in Europe itself, you have differences. Or if you look at the differences between the US and, for example, Germany, you have very big differences in how big the players are, what their assortments are, and so on. And we had to put together one kind of system to still make them comparable to each other, but not only compare apple and oranges. And we came up with the idea of using the term of DIY and home improvement. And just let me explain it to you what it is. So first you see the classical big box stores like Home Depot as the biggest player worldwide, and also in America, you see one of their stores. This is what we put into the category of DIY. Yeah. And the second is what we also put into DIY, for example, are ferreterias, in this case in Spain. And the background is that always if it's a big box player, and if it's, for example, it's also a hardware store, it's put into the category of DIY. But for example, we also have other players in the home improvement industry that are more like Technomat. Technomat also sells products that you will find in a normal Home Depot or in a normal home store in general. But they have a way more focus on construction material. But we still see it as part of the home improvement market. But we put it into the category of home improvement. On the right side, down below, you see Flügger, which is a retail chain for mainly paint and flooring in Europe. And they do not have a big part of their stores where they say, for example, tools. Yeah, tools like you would expect in a Hornbach, for example. But still, they are part of the market and they are put into the category of home improvement. And DIY markets are also part of the home improvement. So we have the home improvement market, and the DIY market is a sub-segment of the home improvement market. That's also one chart you will find to make it kind of explainable in the report at the beginning. And just to give you again a short orientation for the category. So we consider a market player as part of the DIY market if its sales have if the retailer has 50% at least of its sales in the product range of Home Depot. We put it like that because Home Depot is the biggest player worldwide, and it kind of made most sense to use it as an orientation. And the second is then we have the home improvement market, and there the retailer must have at least 50% of its share of sales in home improvement product range. And then we have the third figure. This is not important. We have the calculated home improvement market figure as well. And I will just afterwards explain why and how it works. But so that you keep in mind, if you look at the figures, the calculated home improvement market figure sums up the home improvement market figure and adds other chains to it, especially for the question what we do not know about the market. The home improvement market figure puts together also the DIY market and additionally the distribution lines we put into the category of home improvement. So just also again to give you an understanding why we did it like that. If you in the past already conducted research on the worldwide home improvement industry, you know that it's difficult to collect figures and reliable figures especially, and you have to deal with different kind of assortment, different kind of players. And so we separated the market now for the new version of the report we conduct along the line of what we know and what we do not know. And for you as a reader, it's important to know we know the figures for the DIY market or the home improvement market in a way that nearly 60% of all the sales are company information. We do have own estimations, but we only do estimations if we have one starting number where we can estimate the figure. So if, for example, for one distribution line in any country, we do not have any reliable figure, we do not put it into the report. So you can be sure if it's in there, it has, based on what's the source, a quite high reliability. And then second, as already mentioned, we separate along the distribution lines to make it possible to not compare too much of apple and oranges. Yeah, again, 50% Home Depot assortment or 50% home improvement product range. And then last, please also keep in mind, we separate along the assortment in a way like the distribution lines are put, the figures for the distribution lines are put together along the the turnover for the DIY market and the home improvement market are put together along the distribution lines. So we separate between DIY market and home improvement market, but there's always a bigger picture of the market we don't know about, which includes additional players, for example, like supermarkets, which have a high percentage of sales, but this is not what we measure and we cannot measure, but it's still part of the picture. And that's what then comes into effect for the calculated figure, which uses the figures for Germany and then adds 37.5% of unknown for the German home improvement market. This is then for Germany the figure for the calculated figure, and this then is afterwards being used to have a calculated figure for all countries worldwide along their Human Development Index and their GDP. And why this is important for you, I can show you on the next slide, where we again have Germany on the left side, where you can see again it's the DIY market, 21 billion, the home improvement market, 29 billion, and the calculated figure, including, for example, supermarket and in other retailers, which is 66 billion. And we worked this calculated figure out in discussion with other market analysts, and in a total it comes to nearly 1.4 trillion euro worldwide, and it's a plausible figure, we think, for every single country and also for the world market as a whole. And this is now interesting for you, it gives you kind of an orientation, not only what the market is based on the figures the report knows, or you, for example, know, but it also gives you a hint of what the market presumably really has been in the year 2023. And this is, for example, in Germany the case where you saw, if you look at the percentage of the worldwide market, it was 4.3% for the DIY market in the home improvement market in worldwide share. But in a calculated figure, it would have been higher. Although there's also a rest, which means that there's still some potential, especially for the growth in Germany, if you think of taking away a share from other players in Germany. But if you look, for example, in Mexico, it's different. In Mexico, you would have, again, in the report, the 3 pages, where on the last page, you see all the distribution lines the report is covering. And this then amounts for example, for the home improvement market of 0.59% of worldwide share. But in the calculated figure, the market should be way higher. It should be more than double as much. It would be more like 1.3%. So there's a big gap between what the report knows about the market and what is potentially the market development still to come, or other players maybe already have developed, but you can take a share of it. And if you look at your own research department, for example, and you have figures for a certain country which you are interested in, this is some besides of just the pure facts that we present you in the report about all the distribution lines. This is kind of an orientation where some gaps can be found and where some market potentials can be found. Okay, moving on now to the last chapter of my presentation is the home improvement retailers database. And we include a little bit more than the 620 distribution line in the report, because, as I said, the report is the statistical analysis. But if you want to have the whole picture, it's good if you also have the background information in the database itself. So for Europe, it's 412 distribution line worldwide. Distribution lines worldwide, and worldwide it's 238. Both publications together, so both folders together, sum up for more than 800 pages, which is really, I think, impressive. And again, you have for every data that's being in it, you can find you can find the Excel files which are filterable and importable. And also here to give you a kind of impression what you will get if you have the retailers database. On the left side, you see one German player, Bauhaus, and you not only have the main topics like the contact information, but you also have the chapter where all the management positions are shown. And something we now introduced as something new is that you also can see when the information has been last updated. So for all the around 1,400 management positions, we have included in the retailers database, you get quite good data standard. You again have for sure then again the turnover, total number of stores, and at the bottom you see you also have the other distribution lines by the parent company. So for example, if you do not know what Mr. Dye, for example, is, you can take the page of Mr. DIY in Malaysia, and you not only get the information about the, for in this case, also two purchasers responsible at Mr. Dye, but you also get the background information of what other distribution lines the parent company of Mr. Dye is running, and you get also additional information at the bottom in the last space, but also in which countries Mr. Dye was running its stores. For example, also in this case in Turkey, 108 stores at the end of 2023, or in Vietnam, Singapore, Spain, Cambodia. And you have to keep in mind that we have this information for all 650 distribution lines. So this is really quite, I think, valuable information if you want to look for new possibilities in the market or just get an overview about the market. Yeah. Again, I won't show it to you, but I can again just to underline it. All information, if you buy the retailer database, is available in Excel. So if you also want to import the contact informations for all the distribution lines, you can do that. It's the same for the economic year, like in the report. And you also can filter and go through all the management positions, which I wrote it down there, is available for 1,362 management positions. Okay, last but not least, or last in this case, question is how you can purchase the report or the retailer or both together in a package. It works like if you are a non-HIMA member or a non-EDRA member, you can purchase it via Dene Verlag. Just go down, as you can see here, on diyinternational.com/report, for example, or /retailers. If you are a HIMA member, you can contact HIMA directly via Jasmin Menden. You see here her email, or you can just use, we will show it maybe afterwards again, use the QR code to order it directly from HIMA. And all EDRA and GHIN members get a copy of the report and the retailer, and they can get any information about that on info@edra-ghin.org. Okay, I hope I gave you some kind of impression of what you would expect if you have the report and the retailer and how it works, what's the data behind it. And if you have any questions about it, I'm very happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
You're on mute, Reinhard.
Thanks a lot, Michael, for sharing these deep insights into the new report and predominantly in the method how the statistics works. And I think that's the point which is which has to be emphasized, because you have to see how you can work with this report, and you can find more insights into your potential growth in different regions or countries of the world. So I would pass over to our questions and answer session. So far, I found one question to Michael. It is about Italy. Is Italy included in the analysis? And it is. And Michael? You're muted.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Italy is for sure included. And in Italy, it's a little bit difficult because you have many small hardware stores, and it's not like we include every single hardware store player, because they are too small for our research and putting together the data. But it is included. I have to be honest, I have to look it up, for example, how big the turnover has been in 2023. Just give me a second, I can look it up directly here. So in Italy, for example, we came to a home improvement market of 6.7 billion in 2023, but a calculated figure of way more like 31.5 billion. So there are two ways to explain this. The one way is that the report doesn't show the whole picture, which is definitely the case. But if you look, for example, at the list, it is really long. It goes from Leroy Merlin at the top with 1.89 billion down to Eurobaustoff or Bricotherm with 7 million in turnover. So I think we do cover some normal share of the figures, and yeah, so it should be like more than 25 at least distribution lines, for example, for Italy with their figures, and most of the cases it's also the sales figures. And the question would be, why is the home improvement market so small compared to the calculated figure? Maybe to give you a hint of why the figures are like this in the report. One explanation would be that we have a different structure, like with many smaller players in Italy. And secondly, to be bluntly direct, there's still growth potential in Italy. Yeah, because it's not a market that is that much dominated by big players, and it's not that much played as it potentially could be in terms of sales and assortments.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Michael. There's just one small another question. If we go to share the presentation, yes, we will share the recording of this webinar starting this Friday. You will find the link at DIYinternational.com. We'll publish a news item there, so you will find it. So for the moment, I do not see any more question in the Q&A. So far. That's why I would say thanks a lot for your interest and your attention. However, if there are any more questions, just get back to us. You got Michael's contact data, you know where you can reach DIY International. So get back to us if there are any questions, and thanks a lot for attending us, and thanks a lot for your interest. Have a nice rest of the day.